Most people think poverty is about money. It's not. It's about habits. If money alone made people rich, then lottery winners would stay wealthy forever, but most don't. Why? Because habits always defeat income. Today, I want to expose the silent behaviors that quietly keep people stuck, frustrated, and financially struggling for years, sometimes for life. The first habit is living only for today. When you spend everything you earn and ignore tomorrow, you trade your future for temporary comfort. Poor people think short-term. Wealth is built by those who plan years ahead. The second habit is depending on a single income source. One paycheck means one problem away from disaster. The wealthy don't rely on one stream. They build backups, leverage skills, and create options. The third habit is avoiding financial education. Schools teach you how to work, not how money works. If you don't learn how to manage, invest, and grow money, you'll work harder every year and still feel broke. The fourth habit is blaming others. Blaming the economy, the boss, or the system gives temporary comfort but permanent failure. The moment you take responsibility, you regain control. The fifth habit is choosing comfort over discipline. Comfort keeps you average. Discipline builds freedom. Every time you choose ease over effort, you delay your success. The sixth habit is spending to impress people who don't care. Looking rich keeps you poor. True wealth is silent, patient, and invisible. The seventh habit is ignoring personal growth. Your income will never outgrow your mindset. When you stop learning, you stop earning. The eighth habit is fear of taking calculated risks. Playing safe feels smart until you realize you're stuck. Growth requires courage, not recklessness. The ninth habit is having no clear financial goals. Money without direction disappears. Goals give your money purpose and your actions focus. The 10th and most dangerous habit is waiting for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. Action creates confidence. Waiting creates regret. Remember this, your bank account is a reflection of your daily habits. Change the habits, and poverty loses its grip on your life. Most people believe poverty begins with an empty wallet. In reality, it begins with repeated behavior. Money comes and goes, but habits stay. That's why two people can earn the same income, live in the same city, and have completely different financial outcomes. One builds stability and freedom, while the other lives in constant stress. The difference is not opportunity, it's routine. A person with poor habits will always lose money, no matter how much they earn. Give them a raise, and their expenses rise. Give them a bonus, and it disappears. Give them a chance, and they misuse it. Not because they are incapable, but because their habits are programmed for survival, not growth. Habits shape how you think about spending, saving, risk, and responsibility. If your habit is to react emotionally to money spending when you feel stressed, bored, or insecure, your finances will always be unstable. If your habit is avoiding planning, budgeting, or learning, then money will always control you instead of serving you. This is why sudden wealth rarely changes lives long term. Without discipline, structure, and awareness, money only amplifies existing habits. Bad habits multiply losses. Good habits multiply wealth. True financial change begins when you stop chasing money and start rewiring behavior. When your daily actions shift how you spend, how you save, how you invest time, money begins to respond differently. Income is temporary. Habits are permanent. Short-term thinking is one of the most common habits keeping people poor, and it often feels harmless. It shows up as small decisions made every day, spending without planning, choosing immediate pleasure over future stability, and avoiding sacrifice because the reward isn't instant. When someone thinks only about today, money becomes a tool for comfort instead of a tool for growth. Every dollar is spent to feel good now, look good now, or escape stress now. The future is ignored not because it isn't important, but because it feels distant and unreal. Over time, this mindset quietly drains opportunities. Short-term thinking also affects decisions beyond money. It shapes how people choose jobs, relationships, and even habits. People stay in low-paying situations because change feels uncomfortable. They avoid learning new skills because results take time. They quit too early because progress isn't immediate. Wealth, however, is built slowly through patience and consistency. Those who build long-term wealth understand delay. They are willing to sacrifice convenience today for freedom tomorrow. They invest time before seeing returns. They save before spending. They plan years ahead while others plan weekends. This is not luck, it is intentional thinking. Short-term thinking keeps you trapped in cycles, earning, spending, worrying, repeating. Long-term thinking breaks those cycles by giving your actions direction. Every decision becomes a vote for the future you want, rather than a reaction to the moment you're in. Depending on a single source of income creates the illusion of security, but in reality, it is one of the most fragile financial positions a person can be in. A job, a client, or a paycheck can disappear without warning due to layoffs, market shifts, health issues, or decisions completely outside your control. When that happens, everything connected to that income collapses at once. Relying on one income source also limits how you think. It trains your mind to wait rather than create, to depend rather than build. Your financial future becomes tied to someone else's approval, schedule, and priorities. Even if the income is stable today, the lack of alternatives creates constant pressure and silent fear. People with one income often postpone growth because they feel safe enough. They delay learning new skills, exploring opportunities, or building assets because their bills are currently paid. Over time, this comfort turns into stagnation. Inflation rises, expenses increase, but income stays the same, slowly reducing real financial power. Multiple income streams don't mean chaos or overwork. They mean options. Even small side incomes create resilience. They reduce stress, increase confidence, and shift mindset from survival to strategy. When income comes from more than one direction, a setback becomes a challenge, not a crisis. Wealth is not built by working endlessly in one lane. It is built by creating systems that continue to generate value, even when one source slows down or stops. Not understanding money costs more than any mistake you can make with it. Financial ignorance doesn't announce itself loudly. It works quietly, draining opportunities, increasing stress, and keeping people stuck in cycles they don't understand. When you don't know how money works, you end up working harder just to stay in the same place. Most people were never taught how to manage money, invest, budget, or grow income. They were taught how to earn, not how to keep or multiply what they earn. As a result, many people make decisions based on emotion, fear, or habit instead of knowledge. They sign contracts they don't understand, take on debt without realizing its long-term cost, and avoid investments because they seem complicated or risky. Financial ignorance also creates dependence. When you don't understand money, you rely on others to make decisions for you: employers, banks, lenders, or so-called experts. This lack of control often leads to poor outcomes because decisions are made in someone else's interest, not yours. Learning about money is not about becoming an expert overnight. It's about awareness, understanding how interest works, how inflation affects savings, how assets differ from liabilities, and how income can grow beyond labor. Once knowledge increases, fear decreases, and choices become intentional instead of reactive. The cost of ignorance is paid daily through lost opportunities, unnecessary stress, and delayed freedom. Knowledge doesn't guarantee wealth, but without it, wealth becomes almost impossible to sustain. Blaming others may feel comforting, but it quietly destroys progress. When someone believes their financial situation is caused entirely by the economy, the government, their family, or bad luck, they give away the one thing that could actually change their life: control. Blame shifts responsibility outward, and with it, the power to improve. A blame mentality creates excuses that sound reasonable: low wages, unfair systems, difficult circumstances. Many of these may be real, but focusing on them repeatedly turns awareness into paralysis. Instead of asking, "What can I do differently?" the mind keeps asking, "Why did this happen to me?" Over time, this question becomes a prison. People who blame stop learning because learning implies responsibility. They stop adapting because adaptation requires effort. Every setback becomes proof that the world is against them, rather than feedback on what needs to change. This mindset keeps people stuck even when opportunities appear, because they are mentally prepared to fail. Taking responsibility does not mean ignoring reality or pretending obstacles don't exist. It means choosing ownership over excuses. The moment someone accepts that their actions, habits, and decisions matter, their behavior shifts. They begin to look for solutions instead of validation. Blame protects the ego, but responsibility builds the future. The more blame controls the mind, the less progress becomes possible. Comfort is one of the most deceptive traps in life. It feels safe, familiar, and harmless, yet it slowly keeps people exactly where they are. When comfort becomes a priority, growth is always postponed. People choose what feels easy now instead of what creates freedom later. Comfort shows up in small daily choices: skipping effort, avoiding challenges, delaying discipline, and staying in routines that require no growth. It convinces you that tomorrow is a better time to start, that rest is deserved before progress, and that struggle should be avoided at all costs. Over time, these choices become habits, and those habits build limitation. Financially, comfort keeps people from budgeting, saving, or learning because those actions feel restrictive. It keeps them in jobs they dislike because change feels risky. It keeps them spending on convenience while ignoring long-term stability. The cost of comfort is rarely felt immediately, which is why it's so dangerous. Discipline, on the other hand, feels uncomfortable in the moment, but rewarding over time. It requires saying no to easy pleasures and yes to effort. Those who achieve financial freedom understand that discomfort is temporary, but regret can last for years. Comfort offers peace today, but discipline offers control tomorrow. Every time comfort wins, freedom moves further away. Spending money to impress others is one of the fastest ways to stay financially trapped. It turns money into a tool for validation instead of security. When purchases are driven by appearance rather than purpose, finances become fragile, regardless of income level. This habit often begins with comparison. Social media, peer pressure, and cultural expectations constantly push the idea that success must be visible. People feel the need to show progress instead of building it. Expensive clothes, cars, gadgets, and lifestyles are used to signal status, even when they are financed by debt or drained savings. The problem is not the purchase itself, but the motivation behind it. When decisions are made to gain approval, money loses direction. Instead of building assets, people collect liabilities. Instead of peace of mind, they collect stress. The need to maintain an image creates ongoing expenses that never truly satisfy. Those who build wealth understand that real success does not need an audience. They delay visible rewards while quietly strengthening their financial foundation. They value stability over attention and control over applause. Impressing others offers a temporary boost to ego, but it silently weakens financial power and locks people into cycles they struggle to escape. Personal growth and financial growth are directly connected. When a person stops developing their skills, mindset, and awareness, their income eventually stops growing as well. Money follows value, and value is created through learning, improvement, and adaptability. Avoiding personal growth often comes from fear of failure, fear of change, or fear of discovering limitations. It's easier to stay familiar than to challenge old beliefs or habits. Over time, this avoidance creates stagnation. The world evolves, industries change, and opportunities shift, but the person remains the same. Without growth, people rely only on effort instead of leverage. They trade time for money, working harder but not smarter. When challenges arise, they feel overwhelmed because they lack new tools to respond. Growth equips people with options, stagnation removes them. Those who invest in themselves read, learn, practice, and seek feedback. They understand that skills compound just like money. Each improvement raises their value, confidence, and ability to earn more. When personal growth is ignored, potential remains unused, and financial limits become permanent rather than temporary. Fear is one of the most powerful forces holding people back from wealth. It masquerades as caution, safety, or being responsible. But in reality, it quietly blocks opportunities. Playing it safe feels comfortable, but it also ensures that nothing changes. Without risk, growth is almost impossible. Most people fear loss more than they desire gain. They see the possibility of failure and focus on what could go wrong rather than what could go right. This fear often keeps them in unfulfilling jobs, small business ideas, or stagnant routines, even when opportunities to increase income or improve life are visible. The result is financial mediocrity, predictable, safe, but limiting. Avoiding risk also affects mindset. It trains the brain to seek certainty in all things, which limits creativity, ambition, and decision-making. People who fear risk rarely experiment, innovate, or step outside their comfort zones. They miss chances to multiply income, gain valuable experience, and build networks that could change their lives. Calculated risks are different from reckless actions. They involve preparation, research, and strategy. Every wealthy person has taken risks, but they didn't gamble blindly. They assessed the situation, minimized avoidable losses, and acted decisively. Each risk taken becomes a stepping stone, while fear keeps others frozen in place. Fear of risk creates an invisible cage. The longer it is allowed to dictate decisions, the narrower your life becomes, and the farther financial freedom drifts out of reach. Waiting for the perfect moment is one of the most common traps that keeps people poor. The truth is, the perfect time rarely exists. Life is unpredictable, circumstances are never ideal, and opportunities often appear messy and incomplete. Those who wait for perfection often end up waiting forever, watching others take action while they remain stuck. This habit is rooted in fear and procrastination. People convince themselves that they need more money, more knowledge, more confidence, or the right conditions before making a move. They tell themselves, "I'll start tomorrow, I'll invest when I'm ready, or I'll launch when the timing is perfect." Meanwhile, the days, months, and even years slip by with no progress. Waiting for the perfect time also undermines momentum. Every moment spent hesitating is a moment lost to learning, experience, and growth. Opportunities don't wait. Markets change, industries evolve, and chances disappear. Taking action, even imperfectly, creates lessons, clarity, and forward movement. Inaction guarantees nothing. Wealth and success are built on imperfect steps taken consistently. Each step forward, no matter how small, compounds over time. The perfect time is an illusion. The real power lies in starting now, learning along the way and adjusting as you go. Waiting gives comfort in the short term, but often results in regret in the long term. Those who overcome this habit realize that action creates clarity, confidence, and opportunity, while waiting only prolongs struggle. Breaking free from poverty is not about luck, talent, or opportunity. It's about habits. Every decision you make, every choice you repeat, shapes your financial future. The habits that keep people poor are silent, subtle, and repeated daily. But the good news is that habits can be changed. Awareness is the first step. Action is the second. Discipline, responsibility, and courage follow. Start today. Examine your routines. Stop the behaviors that hold you back, and replace them with habits that build wealth, freedom, and control over your life. Remember, your financial destiny is not determined by what you earn, it's determined by what you do consistently every day. Change your habits, change your life,